Well, here's a little story from my college days. I call this Better Living Through Chemistry. I may be the only person in Chattanooga who ever overdosed on nutmeg. In college, I was a passionate devotee of the DuPont slogan, Better Living Through Chemistry. I regularly undertook an assortment of chemistry experiments with varying degrees of success. One of the less successful involved the ingestion of copious quantities of nutmeg. After reading the old autobiography of Malcolm X, I came across his account of using nutmeg to get high while he was incarcerated. I found this rather intriguing. Following in the footsteps of my heroes, Timothy Leary, Baba Ram Das, Dr. Hunter S. Thompson, and Carlos Castaneda, I decided to undertake some additional research. I consulted with a fraternity brother, Gary, the person most knowledgeable about chemistry I knew. Gary suggested that heating the nutmeg in a solution of distilled water and alcohol would probably extract the volatile oils from the nutmeg. So off we went to the grocery store, where I bought a dozen large nutmegs for about $1. In order to reduce any chance of alcohol poisoning from ingesting the resulting solution, Gary had also recommended picking up a half pint of 190 proof Everclear liquor. Gary was a chem lab assistant and had his own key. We slipped into the lab late Friday night. He set up the Bunsen burner and we heated the mixture of ground up nutmeg, alcohol, and water to just below the boiling point. Slowly the liquid took on an oily appearance. The alcohol evaporated. We strained the solids out, cooled the remaining liquid, and put it into a bottle and capped it. The following night I brought the bottle of liquid to Gary's room in the fraternity house. Reflecting his relative intellectual superiority, he wisely declined my offer to share. I downed the entire foul-tasting concoction. At first, there seemed to be no effect other than I was slightly nauseous. After about 30 minutes, it began to kick in, and I was mildly euphoric. Then I found my muscles were stiffening, and I was having difficulty speaking. Gary, who tended to be a bit nervous, began to panic. He ran to get another brother, Pete, and the two of them decided that I needed medical attention. Bundling me up, they took me to the emergency room at Erlanger Hospital in Chattanooga. Although it was a crowded Saturday night and all manner of people had ended up in the ER, I was quickly taken back. Gary and Pete remained in the waiting area. My muscles were rigid and my pupils had contracted to pinpoints. My ears were ringing like the bells of the Winchester Cathedral, and my jaws were clenched so tight I could not open my mouth. A nurse attempted to question me. She asked what I'd taken. I tried to answer, but all I could get out between my clenched teeth was, "Nothing." She asked again, and I repeated, "Nothing." Finally, another attendant said, "I think he's saying nutmeg." I loudly uttered, "Yeah." She shook her head, saying to the other nurse, "Well, this beats all. I've been a ER nurse for 40 years, and this is my first case of nutmeg overdose." She went in the waiting room and asked if I'd taken nutmeg. Pete had no idea, and Gary, fearing the consequences, denied knowing anything, including his name. Finally, Gary admitted it was nutmeg. The hospital pumped my stomach, kept me for about 4 hours, and then giving me a sedative, sent me home. The following morning, of course, was Sunday, and I had promised my parents I'd come to church. I managed to get up and dress, and moving very stiffly, I went to church and sat on the back row. My pupils were still fully contracted. The light hurt my eyes, and the sound of the organ clanged in my ears. My head and every muscle in my body hurt. My mama asked me if I was okay. I told her I had a migraine. It took about 48 miserable hours for the nutmeg to fully wear off. I do not know if Baroness Erlanger Hospital would ever have another nutmeg overdose, But I knew that I had my one and only case of better living through that particular chemical. Thank you.